Hey guys, this is Evan with Kaido coming to you with another video about my life here in Japan. So, have you guys ever had bath time influence your personal or professional relationships before? Well, that happens a lot in Japan. So, let me get into the story. So, for people who are new to the channel, my name's Evan. I've lived in Japan for around 10 years. I went to language school and then university here, and I studied international relations and linguistics in university. But, when I was in university, I was in this Zemi class, which I've talked about a little bit in the past. And I think this is ubiquitous across all universities in Japan. Like, I think everyone does this, but basically, a Zemi class is like short for Zeminaru, which I think is like it's, you know, loan word from English, like seminar. I don't know why they changed it to Z, like seminadu. But, basically that's like a class that you join in your second or third year and you do everything together. You'll meet a couple times a week. You'll do presentations. You'll go on like field studies. You'll do field trips. You'll drink together 500 times based on my experience with your teacher. And you'll be pouring your teacher beer and wine and all this stuff and kissing butt and, and it's that, yeah, that's what that is. So yeah, basically I was in this class, and this class was kind of my life at this point because it was getting so busy. I mean, every week pretty much I had to read like a 300-page book and then go into class. We'd have like a 6-hour discussion on it. Then I have to write all these papers, and my brain was just ready to explode. And I'd come back to my apartment, and I'd like my mom would call me and I'd answer in Japanese accidentally, and like that level, So it was like too much. And at that time, it was basically like go to class, write these things, go to my job, write these things, do my homework, play Super Smash Brothers Ultimate in my room, and veg out. And then someone will probably call me, and I'll be playing as Donkey Kong. And I'll be doing the down B, and my mom will call me, and I'll go, "Hi, oh, konnichiwa," whatever, moshi moshi, and then my mom will be like, "You're speaking Japanese again." So it was a very busy time. But the story is, basically, since we were doing all these field trips and things together, one day we went to Nara. I was living in Nishinomiya at the time, which is in between Kobe and Osaka. And we were having a field trip in Nara. And I didn't really know anything about this. And at the time, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to go on these trips, because I just know like that class at that time was just like filled with really, really try hard people who were like super elitist. And like, this was supposed to be like the top level class at our university, or the teacher is, he graduated from Todai, Tokyo University. And this was like supposed to be the hardest Zemi in the international school at our university. And so like, the people that were like attracted to joining that were like pretty try hard kind of people. And it can be kind of exhausting being in that environment as the only foreigner, because yeah, it could be a lot. They were very Japanese minded, so a lot of the times the classes would go on for like 8 hours, and I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, we went on this trip. We went to Nara. We get on the train. I'm meeting everyone in the morning. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going. Our teacher is going to fill us in, but we know that we're meeting other classes, other universities at this building, and then we're going to go there, and we're basically going to like do some presentations or something, and we're going to stay the night. And it's like this Japanese like old style building. I don't know what they were doing there, but it was kind of like this creepy it was like, I don't know, it was like a community center or something, where it was like a Japanese like haunted mansion almost. So we're, it's basically like 2 hours, 3 hours to get there. We're riding the train. We get there, we're riding the taxi, we're going up the mountain into the middle of nowhere, so there's no escape. There's no escape from the presentations. You have to give more presentations. And then we get there, and basically everybody is kind of mingling a little bit, and we're trying to meet people from the other schools. And then it's like, okay, we're going to be giving these presentations this day. We're going to be talking about future technology and things that it could impact the Japanese economy or the rest of the world. And so everybody split off into groups of like 4 or 5 people, and the 100 and whatever people who are there, we'll all split off into these groups, and then we'll all give our presentations. Here's a poster, here's markers, go do it. Like we're in kindergarten or something. But they split us off into these groups, and everybody was just so timid. And part of this maybe was because I was the only foreigner in that entire thing, like the 150 people there. Everybody was a little bit, they didn't know. I could just tell they were like kind of panicking, and they didn't know how to approach talking to me. Um, it was like everybody was just so timid in a way that like can only really happen in Japan, where it's like everybody is just kind of like looking at each other and doing the konnichiwa, for like 15, 20 minutes at the beginning. We're meeting, and you know, like we have to like give this presentation. Everyone's like the teachers are coming around and asking about our progress, and nothing's being written down and nothing's happening. And they're kind of like, "Hey, you guys have to do something." So eventually, I'm just like, "Well, what do you guys think about this? What do you?" And I became like kind of the de facto presenter and the person who had to lead the group. And I was like, okay, so I don't remember what we talked about, but I was like, okay. I mean, I was like, so, and they eventually, when it came time to present, I was like, can you guys, like, can somebody else present? And they're all like, they just looked at the ground, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to present, and I don't want to do this presentation today in Japanese in front of, 100 people or whatever, but I did it, and it was fine, and whatever. And then, but what's really funny to me though is because everyone was so shy. Looking around, all the other people are like so shy, and this is just kind of typical of like these kind of things in Japan. Is that just at the beginning, there's like a certain stage that everybody kind of meets each other, where it's like an equal amount of just like polite Japanese, shyness, distance, and you kind of progress to these set stages. As you get closer to people, you'll switch from like just normal teinego, which is like standard polite Japanese, to tameguchi, which is like Japanese you only use for people that are closer to you. And there's all these different levels, and it gets very complicated, which is what a lot of things we were talking about in our class and a lot of things I wrote about in that class as well. Is like kind of where like the line exists on those relationships. When do you decide to switch to the next level? Which I think is relevant to the story, because after that, basically there's like an announcement on this intercom. It's like, okay, you gave your presentations. Oh, somebody, and then company came out and they were like, it's ofuro desu, it's bath time, and everybody, all the 100 and 120 Japanese people all scurry off, excited to go take a bath together. That with people they just met 2 hours ago. And then we get in there, and it's like everybody's like best friends. Like they couldn't even look at each other before. We're trying to just, and maybe part of this was they didn't want to present, but I don't think so. I think it was like genuine, just like they couldn't even make contact, eye contact with each other. And then everybody goes in the bath, and it's like they're best friends. And I don't know, I just thought it was just like, it's like I walked into a completely different building. I walk into this room, everybody's just stripping bare naked, and it's like best friends. And it's like, oh, less clothes equals closer relationship, I guess. So, on to bath time. And I go in there, and, it's like if you guys have ever been in Japanese, like onsen, hot springs, it's just like, before you go into like wherever the onsen or whatever, there's like this stool that you sit on, and it's like you take a shower, like you do like a seated shower before you enter the onsen, because you're supposed to clean your body before you enter like the communal water. Except this place was like they only had the stool, they didn't have the onsen. Like there was no bath. It was just like everybody sitting on the stool, like 50 guys in a line. It was separated. So it was 50 guys all in a line, completely naked, all talking and doing small talk about like the weather and their university and what's your name, completely naked to each other. And they're like so chipper and friendly and nice. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess everyone got over their initial nervousness. Okay, but then I'm like going in there, and I feel kind of uncomfortable because everybody's like, oh wow, you decided to move to Japan. That's really interesting. Completely butt ass naked, and bum on stool, and I'm feeling a little like, I'm like, all right, well, whatever. I mean, like, I felt like kind of uncomfortable, but I'm like, all right, whatever. I mean, I'm in Japan, I'll get over it, right? Time to adapt even more, right? But the announcement comes on again. It's like, it's like, oh, no more bath time. Everyone's, it was fun. It's like bing bong, whatever. Everyone gets off. Everyone's, like best friends, putting on their clothes, putting on their Gatsby, which is like a hair gel thing here. And back to our projects, back to our presentations. And so everyone gets back in the communal room, and I am not even kidding. It was like, I don't know if you've ever played like Ghostwire Tokyo or whatever, like some kind of game like that, where there's like the spirit world, the real world, and the spirit world, and the spirits can't cross over into the real world. But I'm not even kidding. And maybe there's some kind of like Shinto mentality to this, where they're crossing the gate over to the other side. The second everyone walked through this door, there's like the door to the main presentation area where we're giving all these things. It was like there was like a difference in decibel level of the volume people are talking. They cross over into the barrier and they've transformed themselves back into a separate human being. Where like all of a sudden, I'm not even kidding, they sat down and people couldn't make eye contact again. Like everybody just sat naked next to each other, balls out on the stool, balls on the stool, and they can't make eye contact anymore after being best friends with balls on the stool. And so I sit down and they made me do the presentation again. We had a second round where we had to give this presentation. And we like, and this was like the most Japanese thing too, like, because it was like, it wasn't like we had a discussion among like the student body there of like, oh, I think this, well, I think this, and we had a debate about it. Basically, we gave a presentation to royalty, the royalty of the 655 to 60-year-old Japanese professors that all met there, to give their opinion on all of our projects. And and every time somebody would come up, they'd like present, I think we were like presenting like fake product ideas or something with new technology as like a concept. And somebody would go up there and they'd be like, self-cleaning dentures, you say? And they'd go on this spiel for like 20 minutes, like one person just like, have you considered the ramifications of Larry the dentist and, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Larry the dentist might lose his job, and if you consider that greater impact on the economic landscape, whatever. It would be like six people in a row, like, and for every single person that presented, I swear it was like 20 to 30 minutes of comments just from them just going, and then everybody's presenting in a row. So basically, if you weren't, it was like 3 hours to get to those presentations. But I gave it and I did my best, and that was that. And everyone's still kind of like in their like, they're shy, work and avoid eye contact mode. But then another announcement, it's like, Bangohan desu, it's time for dinner. And everyone goes into the dinner room, and guess what? It's not just dinner. This is Japan. This isn't just dinner. You know what other key social substance they had prepared, lying in wait there for us to discover? That's right. It was beer, Asahi Super Dry, and lemon sour chuhai alcohol. And the second one drop of that, one lone drop of liquid touches a Japanese person's lips, they are transformed for the rest of the night. So, yeah, I'm not even kidding. It was like, we did like our opening, like just the opening, kanpai, cheers, one sip. People are going nuts. They're standing on the tables. They're going absolutely, and also in Japan too. People have this thing called like flush, where maybe it's Asian people in general. I think it's especially in Japan. But when they have a tiny bit of alcohol, everybody's face turns red, basically. Like I think most people have this genetic thing where their face turns red. So it wasn't even just in a metaphorical sense or like in the way they're behaving. Literally their face transformed with the moment. And they adjusted to a new being, a new side of their personality that I'd never seen before. And so at this point, I'm exhausted because I woke up at, 6 in the morning. We're riding the trains for 3 hours. We're riding the taxi into the mountains. There's no escape. I've given presentations in Japanese all day. I've dealt with this crazy up and down wave of unpredictable human behavior, and almost like this weird sense of anxiety I have towards the way people are going to act, and I don't know how they're going to act at any given moment. And now I'm expected to like drink with everybody for like 5 hours, 6 hours, and sing karaoke and scream at the top of my lungs. And at this point, I'm just like out. And then everyone's like looking at me. It's like, why aren't you talking more? What's wrong with you? You look so shy. What's wrong with you? So much of, all right, fuck it. I'm like, I'm here and this is it. I'm in Japan. So I pushed myself and I, made myself drink, and I had fun, but I was so exhausted, and so we all go back to our Ju-on style murder isolation chambers. I mean oops, did I say that? I mean the tatami rooms that were in the like past the rusty locker area, and we sleep there on the futon, like the Japanese futon, like on the floor. And it was fairly comfortable. But then, I was like, oh my God, I felt like I was just like I was gonna die in the morning. I was so dehydrated, I was so tired. And then but I was like, all right, well, we got up, we had our orange juice or whatever they had there. That's kind of funny considering my last other video I made about the orange juice giving me away as an American, but they did have orange juice and they had miso soup. And, I was like, all right, I'm feeling a little better. And then, like, we had this 3 hour journey back to Kansai, or in Kansai technically, but back to Osaka and Kobe. And, everyone's completely silent again. It's like it's like nobody ever met each other, and we're sitting on this train and it's like just complete silence and everyone's just like, I don't know, guys. Like, I mean, I tried so hard to adapt to everything in that class and being more Japanese and just like seeing how far I could take it. But that idea of like not just like switching your personality, because I can get behind that to an extent, or like obviously you're not going to act the same depending on the friend. If you're talking to your boss or something like that, you're not going to act like completely the same depending on who you're talking to. But just like what really gets to me about it is like not only that people are making that switch visibly in front of other people, because again, it's like even in like the West we have like phone voice, right? Like you're going to act differently if you're talking to someone in a professional context, but everybody making that switch in unison, crossing past like a threshold in a door or something, and then like subconsciously flipping a switch in your mind and acting like a different human being for 3 hours. I mean, that level of it, like I just can't, I can't imagine doing that on a day-to-day basis and living my life like that. I mean, and I've done it, guys. Like I've been in workplaces where you need to do that. I've been in obviously in stricter class settings where you need to do that. And um, I've met girls I'm dated. I've met their parents, and I've had to do that. But like doing that on a day-to-day basis to that level every day, though, I mean, it's like I really I think this is a big reason why people don't have a very like not only do they not have a lot of self-confidence in Japan, but they don't have a very strong sense of like self-identity, because how can you when you're adjusting that based on your surroundings on an hour-to-hour basis? So yeah, I mean, obviously this is a story and this is an anecdote. I'm exaggerating a little bit to make it funny, but I did find that to be a very interesting, it was a very interesting set of circumstances, like in a row over the course of a day. And I hope you guys enjoyed the story. So if you're interested in more anecdotes like this, more stories about my life in Japan, or just want to learn more about Japan or learning Japanese in general, I'd really appreciate you supporting the channel by subscribing. I'm also trying to get more followers on Instagram, which is linked below. But either way, thanks for watching till the end, and I hope you guys have a great day or night wherever you are, and don't switch your personality just because you're entering bath time. See ya.